Young, it's... Right after Lee Gil-young discovered the treasure box, I blocked his little mouth. Shh, wait. The world of ways of survival was relentless. The constellations enjoyed the adversity of the characters and added obstacles in the scenario just to fuck with humans. Things saying, "Catch me," usually contained traps, and even system messages couldn't be trusted. The treasure trove doesn't contain just treasures. The constellation, Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, is disappointed. Abyssal Black Flame Dragon. He wanted me to die for a while. Anyway, I waited. Shortly afterwards, shadows started to emerge around the treasure chest. It was the ground rats. They brought something through the tunnel, through it and exchanged information. Once a certain number of ground rats had gathered, the number of lights illuminating the surroundings increased. It was Blackfire, flames away with black ether. It was said that this place was the core of Darkroot, which was why it had so much black ether to burn. At the same time, someone's voice was heard. "It's all because of you, Sangashi." There was no need to say who it was. It was a voice I would know at once. I gripped the shoulder of the surprised Lee Gil-young tightly. It wasn't time yet. "Because of me? What do you mean by that?" In the dim light, there were two people captured by the ground rats. They were tied tightly by the branches that came up from the ground. "If Yu-sanga hadn't taken the subway, the situation wouldn't be like this. Why does the subway matter now?" How could she accept all this nonsense? Maybe Yu-sanga was a saintly person. Or maybe the sponsor behind her was a saintly person. Yu-sanga, you ride your bike all the time." Hang Myung-ho's voice shook as he spoke gibberish. Yu-sanga's tone was cold. "Wait a minute. Were you the one who stole my bike?" "What? I clearly told you that I drive in my car. You should know how to accept favors." "Answer me. Did you steal my bike?" All of a sudden, the situation made sense. That was it. It was why a person who drove a Mercedes-Benz S-Class took the subway line. Well, it wasn't strange. There were quite a few men who had their eyes on Yu-sanga, not just at the company, but at Gemmo Station as well. In fact, Yu-sanga was a worthy person. Her atmosphere was warm, and she knew how to flatter people. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire hates the character Hang Myung-ho. Hang Myung-ho's face was so red that it could be clearly seen in the dimming light. It looked dangerous. "Yeah, I did it. So what? Why are you talking like it isn't such a big deal? You took someone else's things. That's theft." "Theft? Shh, don't talk bullshit. You should just got in my car from the beginning." Constellation Prison, the Golden Headband, hates this trivial argument. I didn't want to do this, but there's no other way now. I quietly gripped the thorn. "I didn't ask you just once. I continuously take you home, but you kept fucking rejecting me." I threw the thorn as hard as I could. The thorn scratched the corner of Han Myung-ho's mouth and continued to the darkness. "Oh, what?" The Constellation Prison of the Golden Headband is pleased. 100 coins have been sponsored. "Dokja-shi!" Yu-sanga called out to me. However, I wasn't looking at them. Across the habitat of the ground rats, the darkness was split by the thorn. That damn guy came. There's no way it wouldn't be in the Darkroot. Dark Keeper has appeared. The sub-scenario has been updated. Sub-scenario, Kill the Guard, has begun. Like slaves surrendering to a king, the terrified ground rats fell to the floor. A dark figure appeared in the dim light. A tentacled monster that was like a grim reaper. Lee Gil-young's complexion deteriorated sharply. "Young, It's okay." Eventually, Lee Gil-young fell to the ground and started retching. It wasn't strange. A lot of pressure was felt from just by looking at it from afar. The cockroaches scattered around the area had their stomachs exploded. Lee Gil-young, who was connected to the cockroaches, would have suffered considerable mental damage. "Lee Gil-young, how many more times can you use diverse communication?" "I think I could do it 1 or 2 times. "I understand. Then rest here for a while." I left Lee Gil-young sitting against the side and approached Yu-sanga and Hang Myung-ho. The panicked Hang Myung-ho was struggling. "What is this?" I took the Swiss Army knife and cut the branches binding the two of them. I only moved the knife a few times, then the part of the branch that had touched abruptly eroded and the blade melted away. Yeah, this was the power of the demon species. "Stay back," I said while raising a weapon made of the spine of the ground rat. The 7th grade demon-type species, Dark Keeper. Among the many monsters that appeared at the start of the destruction, the demon species were toxic. In fact, the treasures of the ground rats were closer to tributes to the demon. Even if it was the same grade, the demon species were different from other monster species. The Dark Keepers received the favor of the Demon King as follows. Gamyun der Hitter. The demon species had their own language, worshipped different demon kings, and inherited some of the power of the Demon King through Darkroot. The Dark Keeper has emitted fear. The exclusive skill Fourth Wall has neutralized most of the fear effect. Therefore, killing one demon meant becoming the adversary of their Demon King. Yitar! I didn't know what it was saying, but the situation didn't look good. I didn't want to fight if possible. "Mother?" Yu-sanga was the one who spoke. She still hadn't left? "I told you to stay back." "That monster just said, mother." I thought for a moment what this meant. No, wait a minute. I think... Yadur Yermirn? Is this the pronunciation? Aktu? For a moment I thought I was mistaken, but I didn't hear wrong. "Galitu!" Surprisingly, the Dark Keeper nodded at the end. The character Yu Sangha has activated the Interpreter level 3 skill. Oh my god. She wasn't only good at Spanish. Let's see what would happen. I asked, what's he saying? That it keeps saying, become mother. Become mother? The Dark Keeper cried out again and pointed to Yu Sangha. Galitu! Yu Sangha had a tearful face. Mother, I'm not married yet. The Dark Keeper pointed at Hang Myung-o at this time. Galitu! Hang Myung-o turned pale as he wiped his lips. Why am I the mother? The Dark Keeper's tentacles rose. One of the tentacles entered his mouth, and Hang Myung-o turned black. There was the sound of something moving down Hang Myung-o's throat. That's right. This was what it meant to become the mother. I belatedly recalled that the demon species conceived their young in the body of other species. Yusangashi, you don't have plans to have a child yet, right? Of course! Yusanga immediately understood the words and stepped back quickly. I swung the ground rat spear and tore at the tentacles attached to Hang Myung-o. The Dark Keeper roared angrily. Galituro! The tentacles of the demon species were gradually breaking the ground spear rat. Even the stone hogthorn, which broke through the stomach of the ichthyosaur, would have been destroyed the moment it struck a demon's body. Before I knew it, Hang Myung-o was far away while Yusanga looked at me. Is there a chance? Her eyes seemed to be asking me. To tell the truth, I didn't have a chance. Psh, psh, dong. After a few strikes, the ground rat spear was almost destroyed. The hand holding the spear was in pain. The monster guarding the treasure chest couldn't be caught, just like the ichthyosaur of the Dungho Bridge. That's why the original plan wasn't to deal with this monster, but to obtain the treasure chest after it disappeared. As always, plans existed for things to go wrong. Dokebi, are you watching? You knew? The Dokebi appeared up in the darkness. I didn't know his name, but he seemed to be a cousin of Bihyung. There should be some mail for me by now. I want you to hand it over quickly. It isn't my responsibilities. It's Bihyung's thing. Right now, aren't you taking Bihyung's place? Don't you see the constellations complaining? The constellation Prison of the Golden Headband wants to scold the Dokkaebi Biryu. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire threatens the Dokkaebi Biryu. The Dokkaebi Biryu gulped. Okay, just this once. I think it'll be interesting. The Dokkaebi muttered something and the summoning began. The item has arrived for the exchange. The item Broken Faith has been acquired. The brokerage fee was exempted due to the effect of the contract. Broken Faith. The item bartered for the ichthyosaur core, which was registered on the Dokkaebi bag exchange, had finally arrived. The Dark Keeper saw the item coming out of thin air and laughed. No wonder it was laughing. All I received was a D-grade item. It was a knife broken in half. The item is too old to use. The durability will be poor, and it will be difficult to achieve any performance. Even the Dokkaebi who gave me the item was giggling. How can you fight with that old thing? It can't be used if you don't have a special skill. I knew that much. I wouldn't have bought if I didn't know. I sucked in a breath and concentrated my mind. Ging! The hilt started trembling greatly. Biryu shouted with a shock. How? It was natural to be surprised. It was because this was a skill I bought from his friend for a huge 10,000 coins. Blue ether started to settle slowly on the surface of the broken blade. White pure star energy. After killing the ichthyosaur, I bought this skill from Bihyung. There were a few flaws compared to other superior energy techniques, but they weren't something that could be attained for the time being. Broken Faith has responded to your star energy. Blade of Faith is activated. Shortly afterwards, a brilliant white virtual blade sprang up from the edge of the broken blade. Broken Faith. Its real performance was revealed when star energy was injected into it. The number of tentacles increased by dozens and covered my field of view. I wouldn't be safe from these attacks with my current stamina level. It was scary, but now there was a chance. It was because the Blade of Faith was the best quality weapon when it came to demon species. The tentacles touched by the blade were oxidized and cut off. The Dark Keeper let out a terrible scream as its tentacles were destroyed. I felt magic power draining out of me, but I wasn't in a hurry. I calmly moved the blade. I missed the tentacles many times because I didn't have the fighting sense of skill or the swordsmanship training skill, so the way I wielded the blade was terrible. It was natural. I was a reader, not a swordsman. And a reader fought in the manner of a reader. The attribute effect has improved your memory of the pages already read. The pages of ways to survival flashed in my head. The Dark Keeper's attack pattern is simple. Unconditionally, the tentacle on the upper right will first. After the attack, a single tentacle on the bottom. Its tentacles regenerate, but it will take a few minutes. I read diligently and used what I had read. Grah! The Dark Keeper shrieked as its tentacles were cut. On the other side of my field of view was Lee Gil-young. The young boy looked at me with awed eyes. Unfortunately, unlike his wishes, I wasn't the main character in this world. Still, I was confident of at least one thing. Gar mien den. The Dark Keeper muttered as it barely managed to pull itself together from its shock. I didn't ask, but Yusanga muttered from behind me in a quivering voice. How do you know all my weaknesses? That was what it meant. I gave an answer in a light manner. I read a lot of books. I knew more about this world than anyone else.